Yep.
Wasn't roughing it.
Exactly.
By any means. That's what I'm most afraid of.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is your favorite couple from the Midwest, and we are back here to do another reaction video. Anyway guys, the title of this one is 5 Ways British and American Camping is Very Different. We just recently went camping. I also was a Boy Scout, so I've actually done a lot of camping in my life.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see the differences. This is from the channel Lost in the Pond. We've done several of his videos. We really like him. Lawrence, he's a great guy. He's like our neighbor up in Illinois. He's not that far away in the scheme of things.
We've
when it
never
comes to the
actually
US.
met him.
No. I would love to though. So Lawrence, if you ever watch this, and I don't know, want to hang out or meet up, let us know. But before you end the video guys, please like, share, subscribe, turn that notification bell on if you haven't. Go check out the channel's Discord if you haven't. Go follow me on Instagram. With that being said, let's get right in this video and check out the different ways you guys camp to us.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to camping. This past Labor Day weekend I decided to get away from it all and do what many Americans are doing at this time of year, pitching a tent at a campsite. While this was largely intended as a mini vacation and not the setup for a video, I did nonetheless have a lot of thoughts about the many ways in which camping differs between Britain and the United States. Here are 5 of them. I don't have any evidence for this, but I get the sense that singing around a campfire is a more widely accepted activity in the United States. Firstly, Americans are generally less inhibited when it comes to communal singing, though Brits begin to catch up once alcohol is introduced. Secondly, American horror films tell me that I'm definitely correct about this. Now, this is not to suggest that every American camping trip immediately devolves into a touring musical. Indeed, during this Labor Day weekend, I didn't even see a single guitar, but the notion of campfire.
I was gonna say, normally you don't have that happening unless you're like in a kiddie group, like young kids doing a camp thing. And there's some teenagers maybe, but not so much. You don't find that in adult groups unless someone has a guitar generally. Even if people have been drinking a whole lot, we don't have like pub songs or anything like that we would sing around the campfire. It's not common.
Labor Day weekend, I didn't even see a single guitar, but the notion of campfire songs certainly exists. Whenever I have heard it in action, the songs of choice range from John Denver's Take Me Home Country Roads to Everything by Johnny Cash. Having never been a Boy Scout, I struggle to think what the British equivalents might be. Several sources seem to indicate a leaning toward traditional songs like She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain or Old MacDonald, but I do expect a hearty rendition of Come On Eileen once the Heineken kicks in. I've just realised that's not applicable to Boy Scouts officially.
Come On Eileen would be a great song to sing around campfire.
I can't even think of that song right now.
I know I've shown you it. I don't know many of the lyrics, but I know it's a really fun,
That's
catchy
like a
song.
70s song?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Maybe
Merely from my own experiences of camping in both countries, I long ago fell under the misconception that glamping, a portmanteau of the words glamorous and camping, was chiefly an American thing. After all, it seemed that every American I spoke to couldn't quite believe that me and my British friends would sleep in our tents without the added comfort of an inflatable mattress. Roughing it was all part of the, glamour. It didn't help, of course, that I assumed that the word glamping was of American origin. I mean, the country does have quite a history of coining travel-themed portmanteaus like staycation and motel. But the first known instance of the word can be traced back not to the United States, but to the United Kingdom in 2005. Indeed, the practice of glamping goes back way further. In the 16th century,
I wouldn't consider an air mattress glamping. When I think of
Why,
glamping,
just because we use one?
Well, no, because true glamping, they have like beds and dressers and couches set up inside a tent. It's basically you're in a tent, but all the furnishings of a normal house.
I mean,
and I think it has electricity and usually some sort of heater or air conditioner too.
An air mattress is still not something that if you were like legit camping,
True.
like backpacking, you're not gonna lug around an air mattress and a pump.
Maybe, but we've
Just
like
for
always
convenient.
had an air mattress of some kind.
Yeah, but when we've gone camping, we've always gone camping like in a van. You drive right up to the campsite. You open the door. There's like electricity close by. There's water close by. Again, I've done plenty of hardcore camping.
As you see in our video, we do have an air mattress, and I'd say I wouldn't call it glamping, but I do like my necessities. I packed a fan. I packed our air mattress. I had lots of blankets. I had a heater. So it was a comfortable camping.
It wasn't like legit camping.
Wasn't roughing it.
Exactly.
by any means.
Indeed, the practice of glamping goes back way further. In the 16th century, the Scottish Earl of Atholl hosted King James V up in the Highlands. The story goes that the king's visit took place inside a tent which was filled with amenities from the Earl's palace. And then there's the wild account of Henry VIII's meeting with Francis I of France. In 1520, they each attended the Field of the Cloth of Gold summit, in which almost 3,000 tents were erected in northern France with access to fountains that produced only wine. I can only imagine that these were installed to appease protests over the lack of public Wi-Fi. And today, glamping is practiced in both countries by people seeking a brief vacation in the great outdoors without breaking their backs in the process. And while America might not be able to claim the word glamping as its own, it makes up for it with these. When you move to the United States, much like any other country, you spend the first year or 5 asking the question, what is that? This was precisely my response upon hearing the word s'mores for the first time. For those not in the know, a s'more is a popular campfire concoction in which a roasted marshmallow is planted on top of a piece of chocolate and thrust between 2 graham crackers. Indeed, when it first entered American culture about 100 years ago, it was referred to then as a graham cracker sandwich. Shortly after, a recipe for the sandwich was posted in the 1927 iteration of Tramping and Trailing with the Girl Scouts under the name Some More. The contraction s'mores was common in American cookbooks by the 1950s. Now, while I certainly never...
Why would... You don't need a cookbook to know how to make a s'more. I'm
things.
Sorry.
Graham cracker, cooked marshmallow, chocolate.
Yep.
S'mores was common in American cookbooks by the 1950s. Now, while I certainly never encountered them in Britain, it wasn't unusual to roast and eat marshmallows by themselves. That said, since I left the motherland 13 years ago, there have been efforts among British bloggers and vloggers to recreate s'mores. With graham crackers and Hershey bars harder to come by across the pond, these are often substituted with digestives and Cadbury bars. While this might appease the odd, sometimes very odd, American...
That would be so good with that digestive.
It'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
The graham cracker has like the cinnamon though stuff in it.
That's true, but it's not necessary.
Totally un-American by saying this, but I hate s'mores. And you know that.
Well, this last time we went camping, I actually had some for the first time in like 10 years. I hadn't had a s'more in forever, and I'm like, these are pretty good.
For the record, I don't hate the graham cracker or the chocolate. I hate marshmallows.
Oh.
Even roasting them isn't good. Like, I don't like the fluff.
See, the marshmallows what I like the best of
I hate them. I hate them raw. I hate them roasted. I have a vendetta against marshmallows.
That's extreme.
The only thing I like doing with marshmallows is catching them on fire and throwing them.
That is not safe.
Well, I usually aim towards water or something.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
As long as it's not
that's the only thing I like to do is to see a marshmallow like flying through the air. Like Dennis the Menace.
Oh my gosh.
Digestives and Cadbury bars. While this might appease the odd, sometimes very odd American, it's a little more difficult to replicate this. As I tried falling asleep on the inhibitively comfortable mattress, the difference in nighttime ambience between the United States and my homeland was stark. Here in the Midwest, it's highly likely you'll be serenaded, as I was, by the sound of not just crickets, but cicadas.
Very loud.
Anyway, the ambience in Britain is quite different. In the absence of cicadas and crickets, it's the elements whose voices call loudest, as the nighttime winds let the tent know who's boss. This in turn prompts nearby trees to creak, and since Britain is often given to light precipitation, I spent many a camping trip falling asleep to the pitter-patter of rain. Of course, much of the US is no stranger to this. It's just that in the Midwest, and most certainly in the Deep South, rain tends to be heavier and less conducive to a good night's sleep. The same might also be said of these.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because to us, usually if it rains, it kind of just ruins the camping trip. Because unless you have a really good tent, if you have just a basic generic tent that you buy, it's most likely gonna leak. Your stuff's gonna get wet. You're gonna get wet. Your wood's gonna get wet. You can't everything's gonna get wet.
Everything's gonna get muddy outside.
You can't have a fire to warm anything up. But rain over here equals a bad time for camping.
Yeah.
Because like he said, especially in the summer, if we get a rain, it's usually very heavy, very fast. Everything gets drenched, and then the sun comes out. It gets really hot and humid. All the bugs come out.
Yeah. That's why I don't like camping in the summer.
Well, that's why everyone looks at the weather and they kind of
judge it off of that.
They try to go.
But normally we go camping like early fall or end of summer, and that's usually better weather because there's less bugs. Sometimes less rain, although we did have rain this last time. And it gets nice and cool. Because I like it when it's nice and cool, because that's what makes a fire worthwhile. It's not fun having a fire if it's hot out.
Yeah. Well, I know, again, because I did a lot of camping and I've camped plenty in the summer, but the only reason why we had a fire was to cook our food. Like, it wasn't, or light, you still get around it, but like, you're like 20 feet away from it or something. So it is nice having that chilly weather where you can be like right up next to it, everyone's close.
Yeah. So, that's more the ambiance that I like.
That's what I like, yeah.
Less conducive to a good night's sleep. The same might also be said of these. It doesn't matter how many times I tell myself.
Okay, alright, real fast. Let's just remind me of someone. Someone had actually messaged me on Instagram, and they said something like they didn't know that Americans go camping very much because of the wild animals.
That's partially why we go camping.
Well, no. I'm trying to say though, like, I don't know if maybe they were just like didn't know, but one thing, tons of Americans go camping.
Oh, yeah.
Probably every American goes camping now. I'll get into it later in the video of what they consider camping. What I'm trying to say is, like, especially in this area, the most dangerous animal we have 2 dangerous spiders, the black widow and the brown recluse, which
are very common to recognize, and they're not super common to see.
They can be deadly. Most likely you're just going to get really sick. And then we have...
a big old welt.
We have 2 types of snakes. We have the water moccasin and the... I think we just have the copperhead, the water moccasin. I guess we do have a type of rattlesnake.
We do have rattlesnakes, but they're not as common where we live. It's a little bit more in the wooded areas of rocks and...
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think of else. We do have black bears, but they're extremely rare and very skittish. They're the smaller kind.
Oh, and we also have coyotes, but they don't attack people. We also have mountain lions, but they don't really attack people either. So, let's see. What else is there?
I'm just trying to say, in the Midwest, there's really not that much. Like, I don't know. I'm just never scared or worried about going in the woods and, like, something going to attack me.
Okay. The worst thing I would find in the woods is a skunk. That's what I'm most afraid of.
Sorry for the long rant, but anyway, back to the point. Tons of Americans go camping. There's not that many deadly things. I'm sure if you start looking up, there's a decent amount. I know when you go south, you get into more like desert, like snakes and spiders and stuff that are more deadly. When you go up north, there are bigger bears like the grizzlies, and there's also moose.
That's the thing. Moose. The chances of getting hurt by them is very rare. So a lot of people go camping just so they can see these wild creatures, because we're not really scared of getting eaten by them or anything, because there's very few attacks unless you actually pursue it. And I guess going camping to pursue it. But no, you're just wanting to see them. You're not invading them too much. We're just not scared.
Of these... It doesn't matter how many times I tell myself that this isn't the actual wild, there will always be a small part of my brain that wonders how you successfully fight off a bear. At least, that has become the case since I started camping in America, and while Illinois isn't noted for its bear population, the same cannot be said of other places I've camped, like West Virginia. The mountain state is reportedly home to 8,000 black bears. Thankfully though, black bear attacks on humans are extremely rare, but facts have no meaning when it's dark outside and everybody else is asleep. Another animal that British campers don't have to worry about is raccoons. I've actually lost count of the amount of times Americans have warned me to keep an eye on my cooler while camping, and that's because raccoons have quite the history of breaking into them.
Yeah, you never want to leave a cooler outside in the open, especially through the night.
You don't
During
want
the
to
daytime,
leave any
okay.
food
But
out.
you almost don't want to leave it even inside your tent, because they smell that. They smell humans, but they stay away from humans. But if they smell food, they're going to try to get in.
Well, not only that, raccoons have like little hand paw things.
Yeah,
so
they can open
they're very good at
things
opening it, and they're very smart.
Through. Yes. Always leave your cooler in your car if you can't help it.
But they're not really that dangerous. Like, I feel like even if they attacked a person, you could probably fight it off pretty easily. Like,
but
you get
The
torn
worst thing is if they bite you and you get rabies.
Yeah, I mean, they could.
But they're not going to kill you.
They can bite and they can
otherwise.
scratch. They're pretty rough little animals.
Yeah, but they're still skittish.
But
Most
to be
animals
fair,
are way more skittish to people.
They're actually pretty cute.
They are.
On my cooler while camping, and that's because raccoons have quite the history of breaking into them and stealing your bratwursts. In extreme cases, they might even take the entire cooler, so it's a good idea to secure it with a bungee cord and affix the cooler to a tree and put the tree inside a safety deposit box and blast the whole thing off into space. We didn't encounter any this time. In Britain, the animal I most remember being concerned about while camping was the fox. And when I say concerned, I mean I thought about it for a second and then fell to sleep. You see, Britain
Yeah.
just doesn't have so-called dangerous animals on the level of the United.
Okay, foxes are not dangerous.
No, they're very cute.
One, they're extremely rare. I've seen maybe 2 foxes in my entire life.
Okay, well, they could be more common there.
Either way, we hardly ever see foxes, so that's not something to worry about. Plus, they're tiny. They're smaller than, like, a dog. They're like a giant cat.
Well, foxes are, they're pretty common over here, but they're just very shy.
And I think they're fairly, not endangered, but
No,
there's just...
I've seen several foxes. And I've heard a lot of people talk about them getting into their chicken coop. So they're very common. They're just extremely shy and skittish.
I guess. I've rarely ever seen a fox
It's 'cause
in
you're
the
loud.
wild. What?
So that's because you're loud. Continue.
To sleep. You see, Britain just doesn't have so-called dangerous animals on the level of the United States. In fact, it probably says a lot that foxes are also found throughout the United States and yet barely come up in this particular conversation. And why would they when America has bears, snakes, black widows, alligators, and pumas, all of whom, it should be said, are statistically very unlikely to trouble you while camping.
Okay, to be fair, yeah, I would never go camping in Florida. Alligators are where I draw the line, probably more than bears.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I think there has been more alligator attacks
There's
than bear
something
attacks.
about alligators that freak me out. I don't like them.
Have you ever seen one in real life?
No.
Oh, okay.
I know they're
They
big.
don't move much.
They can move so fast, though.
Yeah, but they don't usually.
Not on land. But
Well,
in water,
they
they're
kind
really
of
fast.
can, but no.
Anyway, one thing he did not bring up that I wanted to bring up real fast.
A big point.
Oh.
You have a big point to make.
I guess. I just want to kind of complain about American campers because probably 50% of Americans
If not
go
more.
camping in RVs,
Yes.
which is stupid because one, they cost like, if you buy them new, like $20,000 to $50,000. So they're a pretty big investment. And then they'll go camping like 3 or 4 times out of the year, but the RV like takes away everything, the point of camping. Like even the air mattress in the tent's not really taking away that much from
Right.
it. But when you have your AC, your bathroom, your kitchen, your
Walls.
beds, walls, everything, and then you also
You can stand up straight the entire length.
like a lot of times you'll see them take their kids out camping and then the kids just stay inside, watch TV, and play video games in the AC.
Inside
And
the camper.
It's like there's no point in even going. Just stay
like
at
a
home.
mobile home at that point.
So that's one rate I never understand. Like I've thought about getting a camper, a cheap one, but I've thought about getting a camper only for long trips, like going to Colorado and be
Oh,
able to stay
yeah.
like a week, just because of the convenience of it.
And the kids, with little kids.
But
it'd
again,
be
I
easier.
wouldn't get one and then just stay in it the whole time. The only reason I would get it would be like for more winter camping, and again with the kids,
Yeah.
it would be nice.
But even then,
So I understand it to a point.
it's not camping at that
But
point.
to be
It's
fair-
traveling.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't go camping around here with one, even if I owned one.
Yeah.
They take away the whole point of camping.
Yeah.
That's my problem with them. The thing is also, they're not really.
You're getting worked up over
Well,
this.
they're not even really time savers. You spend half the day
That's
setting
true.
it up.
They
You
take
have to
so
get it
long.
level and just one second. You have to like get it level and push the slide out stuff if you have it, or pop this up, pop that up. It's a pain.
If you've watched our camping video, if it's out already, I hope, you see, I was able to put up my own tent, our own tent, all by myself, pretty much, and it did not take that long. Because it's just super simple.
Well,
And
not only that-
campers that have all these little techniques, you have to turn this lever and lower this gauge, and
Now,
I don't know
most
what I'm saying.
campgrounds in the U.S. that I've been to do offer RV sites.
yes.
But the thing is, you'll go in there, you're going to the site, and it's just RV stacked one on top of another. And it just takes something, because you go to this like secluded tent areas, and yeah, you can still have a lot of tents, but because it's secluded, you don't have to stay on your little site per se.
you have more privacy.
But the
with
RVs,
tents.
it just takes away, like, I don't know, it just takes it away. There's no point, and I don't get why people do it.
If you're traveling across the U.S. or something,
You know,
and you
RV is
just
a
go
good
from one
idea.
place to another, an RV is a really
Because
nice,
you don't have to worry about
convenient
hotels
thing.
or anything.
Yes.
You can stop.
Still
Yeah.
cheaper than a hotel for
Yeah.
sure, because
Yeah, for
campsites
sure.
can be, relatively cheap to free. There are a few that are free, but you have no electricity or water usually. But still, either way, it's a nicer way to travel if you're going from place to place. But it does, like you said, take away the experience of camping, which I love the experience.
Well, yeah,
of
but when you're
camping.
traveling,
the ambiance.
You're traveling. It is kind of okay. Again, sorry, but when you're going like across states, you can still get kind of like the outdoors feel in the camper.
Yes.
But you're not really saying that you're camping. You're saying
Yeah.
you're traveling.
Yeah.
I don't get the people that have these super expensive RVs and they go and take them out 3 or 4 times a year, like an hour away from where they live. They spend so much time setting it up, then they just stay inside the camper. That's what I
There's
don't
no
get.
point at that point.
Anyway, guys, that was
That was his rant.
I'd be interested in knowing in the comments below more of the actual differences. Like, what is your experience as a British person camping? Or what
I
do
honestly didn't know you guys camped hardly at all, but it sounds like you do.
Well, it sounds like that, or at least a few people I've talked to, they didn't think that we camped at all either. So.
Oh, weird.
So
it's one of those things that just got lost in the pond.
Shout out to Lawrence. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for this video, I think. Mm-hmm. We will catch you guys in the next one. It is good to be back.
Yes.
It is fun to do these. We will catch you guys in the next one, and that is all. Cheers.